Let's get to the new iteration. In the previous iteration, we split the test and production environment. We set quality checks. We made the first release 1.0.0 to our production domain. But here is one problem. When we deploy some version to our test domain, let's check this one. How do we know from which commit was made this deployment? When your user provides a feedback, the critical feedback about one of the issues in your product, how do you know about what kind of version is he talking about? And today we're gonna solve this problem. First, we're going to set up a solution that will inject the version in our Kotlin application at compile time. Then we're going to update our GitHub workflows to supply a proper version, whether it's CI test deployment or whether it's the release deployment. Let's go. I will use the helper files as I was using the last session to speed up. First, we're going to use the BuildKonfig plugin. I think it's inspired by the Google Android decision of a BuildKonfig. What it does, it generates a little bit piece of code during the compilation time and creates some property that we can configure. So first thing first, let's add the plugin. The version is this one. I think this procedure is becoming more and more familiar to us. Then we go to the root Gradle file and register. BuildKonfig. Then we need actually to apply it. And we're going to apply only in our share code module. That's it. Now we need to actually configure it to inject the version. I prepared a small code snippet and it requires the new type. Let's import it. So let me index to make sure that Gradle picks it up. Let's look what it does. It takes the version name either from environment variable, either from Gradle properties, and pass it to our source code. So, and if we use our local build environment, like I am here right now, then it's going to fall back to local build. Let's show it on a screen. My plan was to actually implement this footer, so this version will be in the bottom right corner. But right now it's a bad time and today is my turn to put kids to bed. So duty call. That's why I will make this session way shorter. So we have our Kotlin. Let's just add without dot the version build BuildKonfig. Can we run it? So I think we need to build it once. So the code is generated. Yeah. Now it should be available. Build. Yeah. Now version name. Since we are not supplying anything from environment variables or Gradle properties, it will show local build. Yeah, local build. That's it. Great. We can even commit. Let's create a new branch. Set up versions. Add BuildKonfig plugin. Now let's update the workflows. The first thing first, we need to compute the versions. I think that for release it's easy. When we create the tag v100, then the version would be 100. So let's create the template that will help us to compute this version. Let's move it here, where it is. Let's briefly go over the details of the implementation. So this is the template that will be called by other workflow, and the output of this template would be the version that we compute in this job. What it does, it looks for the tag that is the same as this commit that we triggered the workflow, and then performs the shell script to take everything that goes after the letter V and just prints for visibility. Let's create another one for test domain. Same, let's move it here. It's a little bit more complex, but let's go over it. So I want the test build first to start with the same major minor patch, then to be unique, then to be semantically ordered. So the last one that I pushed to deployment should be the last one with respect of the sorting order. And also I want to easily localize the commit from which this deployment happened. And within years, I find out that this format is the one that suffices my requirements. So that just means that this is the build that was made upon the latest released 1.0.0. It was made, I don't know, 11th of January 2026, which was yesterday at 2:30, and it was made out of this commit. And this is the shell script that's responsible to generate or to compute this kind of version. This script was given to me by my grandfather as an inheritance, and I'm going to pass it to my grandchildren. Yeah, that's a stupid joke. Of course, I used some LLM a long time ago. Maybe it's not perfect, but it just does the job. Cool. Now we need to update our template, because now we need to inject the version into the Gradle. So the BuildKonfig plugin that we just created will generate the class with that property. So first In addition to the Cloudflare project that we asked previously, now we also asking for the version. For the release it would be major minor patch. For the test it would be a little bit more complex format that I just talked about. And, which is important, now we're going to supply the Gradle property as a part of the command line. Gradle property actually is an amazing powerful thing, and I think we can even Gradle build environment. So that's important. You see the Gradle property and it has the hierarchy. So the first one goes from command line, another one that goes from your Gradle home folder, another one from your project, and then from the least important is environment variables, and you can do magic with this knowledge. So we finished some small side story. This one is done. Now we need to update our CI and release pipelines. First, let's deployment to test. First, we add the job to compute. Then we say now the deployment job actually have to wait until the version is compute, and then we supply this version to the template because we just updated it. And absolutely the same thing happens to our release pipeline. First we add the job to compute, but now it should compute not the CI version but release version. Then it waits until it's computed, and then this version is supplied to the template. As easy as that, we are ready to go. Update workflows. Let's push. Let's create pull request. It will trigger the CI check. Yes, this one shouldn't compute any version. It found some cache, which is great. Yeah. So first iteration that we did, I think I went beyond my time of 15 minutes, and the reason is I'm bad with typing, so I think I need to improve my skills at actually typing, but also it's the iteration when you actually set up your processes and may kind of create a ground for the next work that we going to perform, and you will see how easy would it be to add anything on top of what we have. For example, right now, way easier. I think we did everything within 5-7 minutes, and now most of the time, half of the time would be dedicated just to run CI checks, deployments, and all of the things. And the same will happen. The next iteration, we actually will quickly build this footer, and you will also see how easy would it be to implement this. Okay, the CI checks are checked. Now we merge. Now two other automated pipelines immediately triggered. The first one is to perform the checks again, just in case. The second one is the most interesting one, is the compute. So now we see what was computed. Yeah. This is the version on top of the latest one, 1.0.0, that we did previously iteration. Today is January 12. Now I'm in Amsterdam. Now it's 22:10. Here it says it's 22:09, probably because this agent is actually located somewhere in Dublin. And the commit was made, the deployment will be made from this commit. Let's check while it's building. This is A5C. Yeah, I think that was the number. A5C. Yeah, and then this version is supplied to the Gradle command, which will be picked up by the configuration that we created in build.config, and then it will be shown on a screen. So once it's deployed, this thingy would be updated, and here we should see this version, and that would already help us to understand when was it deployed, why was it deployed, from which commit was it deployed. Let's see. I think once implement the footer in the next iteration, I will slowly onboard other platforms, because if you remember, there was a promise that it won't be just the website. It would be multi-platform application. It would be in desktop, Android, iOS, and maybe CLI. I didn't decide what platform will go first. This is something probably to decide the next on the next iteration, on the next YouTube session. Cool. We've deployed. Oh no. Let's do this. Quick, quick, quick. I am speed. Now it's actually deployed, but now it's saving the cache for the next build process to be way faster. Okay, it's deployed. Let's double check. Hard reload, and we see the version. It's great. As a matter of our habit, we can see at our Git history. I think it's beautiful.